When we start doing calculations with measured numbers, we'll often have to think about how to round our answer, and these decisions are often based on how many significant figures our measured number had. So we'll talk first about how to determine how many significant figures we have. Significant figures are simply the digits that were measured in our value. We have some rules to help figure out if a digit was measured or not. Any non-zero digit that was recorded must have been measured by our measuring device, so they are always significant. With zeros, we have to make a decision. A zero may have been measured, which makes it significant, or it may simply be a placeholder, which means it is not significant. So let's look at some examples to help us figure out how many significant figures a measured number has. In our first example, 6.23 feet, I only have non-zero digits. All of those must have been measured if they were recorded, so this means I have 1, 2, 3 significant figures, or 3 measured digits in that value. The same holds true for the next example, 12,543 miles. All of those are non-zero digits and must have been measured, so this has 5 significant figures. In the next example, we start to see a 0. We need to decide if that 0 was measured, which makes it significant, or not. If you consider this example, 101 yards, our measuring device was able to measure to the nearest whole yard, which means it must also have been able to measure this 0 in the tenths position. So this 0 is a measured value and is significant. This means that 101 yards has 3 significant figures. This 0 is what we call a sandwiched 0, found between 2 non-zero digits, and sandwiched zeros are always significant. Apply this to the next example, 12.01 ounces. Again, we know that any non-zero digit must be significant, so we know we have at least 3 significant figures, and we need to make a decision about that 0. It's again found between 2 non-zero digits, so must have been measured, so here we have 4 significant figures. In the next example, we have what we call trailing zeros, or zeros at the end of our number, 3.00 pounds. In this example, these trailing zeros are found after the decimal place. They're put there to show that our measuring device was able to measure our mass to 2 decimal places. So these were measured zeros. So this has 3 significant figures. So trailing zeros to the right of the decimal place are put there to show us that our value was measured to that number of decimal places. Look at the difference in the next example where we have 300 centimeters, but notice there is no decimal point written. We don't know if these 2 zeros were measured or if they were just put there to be placeholders and keep that 3 in the hundreds position. Since we don't know, we assume that they were not measured, and this number would have 1 significant figure. If I did measure to the nearest whole centimeter and had 300 centimeters, if I wanted to show that, I could include a decimal at the end of the number. Once I do that, then I am showing that this has 3 significant figures. So that decimal is very important. If it's not written, we don't know that those trailing zeros are significant, so we don't include them in our count of the number of significant figures. In our final example, we have what are called leading zeros, or the zeros before our first non-zero digit, which in this case is the 4. Here we have 0.004 kilograms. Leading zeros are again just placeholders, and they are not considered to be significant. So here I have only 1 significant figure. Overall, what we've seen is that significant figures are simply the measured digits in our value. All non-zero digits must have been measured, so they are always significant. The only decision we have to make comes with the zeros. If a 0 is sandwiched between 2 non-zero digits, then it must have been measured and is significant. And trailing zeros found to the right of a decimal place or to the right of a whole number that has a decimal place are considered to be significant as well. Leading zeros are not considered significant, and neither are trailing zeros when we have no decimal. These rules are summarized below, and you'll use them to help sort out the next activity.